Sonia Sotomayor, the self-styled wise Latina woman on the Supreme Court, that's how she pitched herself to join the court. She was hearing oral arguments over the Biden administration's vaccine mandate, and she pulled a fact of COVID hospitalizations out of thin air.
We have hospitals that are almost at full capacity with people severely ill on ventilators. We have over 100,000 children, which we've never had before, in serious condition, and many on ventilators.
100,000 children in very serious condition, hospitalized, many of that 100,000 on ventilators. That's just completely made up. There are right now, and this is the most wild, outlandish, generous liberal estimate, there were fewer than 3,500 pediatric hospitalizations from COVID. How many of those are really serious? Totally unclear. Because a lot of people are pretty trigger happy now. If they get the cough, they'll run to the hospital. Fewer than 3,500 hospitalizations. Very different than 100,000. I'm beginning to conclude that Justice Sotomayor may not be the wisest Latina woman out there. But she went to very fancy schools. I think she went to Yale Law School. She's on the Supreme Court, and she seems to believe this stuff. If a United States Supreme Court justice believes a completely outlandish delusion about the scope of the coronavirus epidemic, I suspect a lot of other people do too. I suspect that the fantasy is driving our discourse much more than the facts. And I suspect that we are living our lives and ordering our society and making our laws and rules much more based on fantasy than on fact. I think if people knew the facts about the risk to children, we would have reopened the schools much, much sooner. I think if people knew the facts about the COVID risk to relatively young, relatively healthy people, we would have gone back to work a long, long time ago. I just had COVID. I just recovered about a week ago. It wasn't pleasant, but it's fine. My whole family had it. It wasn't pleasant. It's fine. People get sick. That's what happens. I think if women knew the facts about the now accepted reality that the vaccines can alter a woman's menstrual cycle, at least somewhat, then maybe they would be more reluctant to get it, or they would have some justification for refusing to get it. If people knew the facts about the moral compromise involved in creating the vaccines, if people knew the risk, if people knew the realities here, and if people knew that the public health experts, quote unquote, and the officials and their propagandists in the media, if they knew that they were freaking lying to us and just getting stuff wrong constantly from the very beginning, they might look on this biomedical terror regime with a little more skepticism. But the liberal establishment has done basically a pretty good job at controlling the narrative with fact check after fact check after fact check that if you contradict it, you could be ostracized, censored, kicked out of society, and no one will hear from you again. I'm so glad you liked that clip. If you want to get the whole show, then you got to subscribe. Ring the bell, get the notifications, head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your audio podcasts, type in The Michael Knowles Show. Subscribe, maybe leave a 5-star review. We'll see you next time.